See y'all again.
Yeah, we're the team, the family from Awaken with Mark, and I'm Mark.
I'm Daniel.
Now, Marlene.
And Josiah's over on the mainland right now, just enjoying himself. So we said we were going to be doing a live. We announced it as a live to just make ourselves available to talk about the Epic Africa Move Starter Guide. That is a free.
Yes, Free, free.
Yeah, free downloadable that is available to anyone who would wish to have it. Someone had asked in the comments about the price, and I was like, nah, it's free 99. It's at no cost. And the idea here is that we would just make ourselves available for anyone who's already downloaded it. Maybe you had a question or two, or anyone who was interested in downloading it. Go ahead and do that. We won't show the pages on the screen. White pages don't look so good on the screen, so we'll just kind of talk to you about it that way, but you can have yours in front of you. Also, when we announced it, we said things like, how do you feel? Because this starter guide was really brought up a lot during our first cohort of the workshop, and people who we've been having consultations with before we did the workshop, and a whole lot of people before that. And there was, I guess, just a level of frustration and things like that.
Right, just kind of knowing what to do, where to begin. So yes, and I feel this has been really, really helpful. So a lot of people have been really wanting to know more about it, to get understanding for what steps they need to take. So
I think it was Les Brown who said the hardest thing about getting started is getting started. And I know for us, and so you have the benefit of our experience, and we had a lot of things going on. There's just so much in your mind, and it can be a bit overwhelming, and you don't know where to begin. And I'm just talking about preparation before you would leave, because it's a whole different story as you get within 1 month time frame or something like that. There's other things you got to think about, or if you're getting within 6 months to your departure date. No, so that's why this thing works, whether or not you are leaving in May or November, or whether or not you're leaving 5 years out from now.
right.
You're giving yourself a very good length of runway so that you'll be able to be prepared to take off when the time comes, because we don't know how long your preparation is going to take.
Yes, and the Epic Africa Move Starter Guide is linked in the comments below. So anyone who's wants to look at it and read some description, or even download it, because it is free 99 like we said, you can get it right from the link in the comments, and then it'll later be added to the description.
Very cool. Link is down. It's going to be down in the comments section, so get ready for that. This live will obviously be recorded, and folks can take a look at it as you see fit. It's exciting to offer folks and to be able to service hundreds of people, more than that, with regards to the things that we have learned. Think of this as we went through the pain, so in some cases, maybe you don't have to experience all the pains. And so we took the time, I like to use the word, we codified it.
Right.
To me, when I say that codify, what I mean is it's like a recipe. We wrote down the steps versus just someone having to guess what the measurements were. And we took time to think about what we went through and captured those thoughts, so it would be helpful to anyone else who would come behind us, because that's our hope, that there would be these breadcrumbs that would be behind us. I do want to mention that there is another free item, and that is the 3 pillars, as a matter of fact. 3 pillars to moving and 3 pillars to success. what we found out as we look back, when you take time to reflect, you start figuring out things for yourself in terms of what you went through. Reflective time is very good to get an idea of what actually happened. And as we look back at that, so there's 3 pillars that are available. They're for free. It's downloadable again. And in fact, we're in the process. We're going to add more to that so it gets thicker than 1 page, right? The idea at first was to have a 1-page snapshot, which we succeeded at, and we have, but to add more depth to that. And the 3 pillars, it's simplistic, but it's a challenge if you really pour yourself into it and think about it. And that is identity, your mindset, and the process.
Yeah, those 3 pillars will be essential to helping the move be as seamless as possible, and it can be helpful in just about any endeavor of what you're doing. So, yeah, if you can get down that identity and who you are, changing your mindset from who you were, and then working through the process, it'll smooth out. Man, it'll help you a lot, especially here.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's good for prepping, it's good for on the way, it's good for after you arrive. And when Daniel said it's good for anything, it's pretty much true. If you don't see yourself as someone let's say you wanted to lose weight, if you don't see yourself at the ideal weight that you want, then it's almost a little bit more difficult. You have to be able to see yourself doing it. One of the things athletes do, sadly, I was hoping the Mavericks were going to make a better showing against the Celtics, but they are not. But anyway, so imagine you're on the free throw line or you're taking a shot in basketball. You have to see that ball go. You have to see that ball going in, and you need to see yourself going through the process and know that that's going to happen. Because without a vision, the people perish. So you need to see that. One of the things I notice is people like to start at the 3rd pillar, which is process, which is really a snare, meaning an entrapment.
Yes, he's right about that, because if you start there, it's like the other areas, they get lost. So if you start there, it's like, well, what happened to why are you moving?
Yes.
You've got to find out why you're moving. Then you got to go through all the stages of, okay, if I find out why I'm moving, and then I'm going to be doing that, but then I've got to figure the detoxing, getting myself ready and taking things off from where I am to where I'm going to go. And then I've got to figure, okay, once I'm there, it's like there's different stages to it. And you've got to be able to have your mind, after you've got the identity of where you're going, how you're going to get through all these stages. Then when you have the mindset that's changed, like Daniel said, you've got to be able to figure, how am I going to deal with that of being here and going through the different steps and everything. You want to say something?
Yeah, I'm reminiscing, thinking back when we lived in California. We, because this didn't exist then, I'm thinking we went through these changes kind of subtly, and how we were thinking about how it was in America, our identity being difficult, being Black, African American, whatever name they give us next, and the frustrations, the pressures, and wanting to move abroad and picking Africa. It's like we were really honing in on that, taking the time of looking at the things that were going on there, things that were tested, things that weren't tested, things that were being pushed on us, and I was like, this isn't really gelling with my identity. It didn't really gel with us and what we were going to choose to be. And then eventually we were in prayer, did a lot of prayer. We walked a lot, clearing our mind, less time in front of the TV for distractions. We might have looked at some news or something, but we went through that renewal process of the mind. We'd walk down by the beach or like the airport. That was something. We would walk by the airport and see planes going in and out.
Yes.
Like these huge planes, and it's just like the renewal of the mind. It's now kind of just hitting me how beautiful it was, and we would see like the fauna and stuff growing on the sides of like the sidewalk and stuff like that. But we'd see like the water, and then time, like a little bit after that, we started getting into the process. We started looking up flights. We started looking up, you know, the country, the hotel, you know, what worked for us. And we kind of just slowly went into the process part of the 3 pillars. So, yeah, as Dad was saying, this is really great for you guys, because it's like we did kind of go through that first for you. Hey, hello, C. Daniels. Greetings to you. Welcome. Karibu.
Yes, welcome. What Daniel and Marlene are talking about are the 3 pillars, and we were talking about identity, mindset, and process. And they were pointing out that a lot of people try to start at the end, at the process, but they haven't come to grips with who they are and whose they are, which is your identity. And when you begin to apprehend, grasp who you are and whose you are, it solidifies hey, this thing is my inheritance. It really is. It belongs to me. It's as simple as when a person says, I am a basketball player, since I had the nerve to mention the Mavericks losing to the Celtics. Or what it does is it helps eliminate imposter syndrome. When you start out with identity, who am I and what is rightfully mine? Because we as people are the only ones who debate. Birds do not debate. They just fly. They don't question the Creator, the Most High. Fish swim. They don't question the Most High on their identity.
They're not in competition. They're living simple, blissful lives, enjoying the worm, the fish, the food. They pleased as punch, as they say.
Back to the identity, when you are clear on that, like you're having a clear vision, then you can make the proper decisions, the proper movements, like I say, this is a stage. It's getting the identity, the mindset, your mind together, like, okay, I'm making this, I'm stepping out. And then the process will come later, because you've already got that vision, and then you can see it and it's clear, and you go, okay, I know what to do next. I'm clear on that. And so then you can move on, but you've got to get that clarity first.
Yeah, without a vision, the people perish.
So on what you said, Marlene, excuse me, then you can make a decision next. Your mindset, which is the second pillar, mindset is taking place on the 6 inches that are the most powerful land space on earth, which is between your ears. That's 6 inches. It's like once you apprehend who you are and whose you are, you begin to realize what kind of laws are governing you, what kind of things that you are capable, what you need to change your mindset on. But the decision, it reminds me of the Spanish class when I was in high school. So like Cinco de Mayo, which is 5th of May, day meaning of, decision of scissions. Scission coming from, circumcision, meaning to cut in a circle, to cut off. And what happens is your mindset changes so that you cut off things that are no longer on your purpose.
Right.
When you identify who you are and whose you are, you cut off things and separate yourself for the next level in mindset.
Those are distractions too. So when you
Yes.
cut those off, they're not hindering you, and so you don't need them anymore, and you're clear. So.
Yes.
Yes. Shalom, Henry. I see you say shalom, beautiful family. Be blessed. Love from LDN. That London? Yeah. LDN. I think so.
Yes.
Wow.
Welcome,
Shalom.
Karibu.
Shalom. So we were just talking, actually, we were given bonus information, although the 3 pillars is inside of the starter guide,
Right.
and the 3 pillars are separate. And we were going through identity, mindset, and process, and we just touched on identity. And then process, which is usually where everybody leaps to. Process kind of reminds me of losing weight, and I know I need to get back out there, eat right, and all this kind of stuff. But it's like, you gotta see let me own it. I've gotta see myself losing weight. I had to see myself in Africa. Then I needed to begin to change my mind or cut off things that were no longer on purpose of that. That's called a decision, not a choice. That's called a decision. And so I began to cut those things off, and then I'm ready for the process, which is, okay, now to-do list. Now I'm gonna do this 2 years out, 5 years out. I'm gonna do this 9 months out, 6 months out, which is different than the other list. I'm gonna do this 2 months out, 1 month out. I'm gonna go and check on these particular bills. I'm gonna check on these Excel spreadsheets. I'm gonna think about where I wanna live, all those kinds of things. It all begins to come together.
Yeah, versus if you do them in a different order, you might find yourself falling away from the process or changing your mindset because you didn't decide, you didn't lock in on those things. And we see that all the time, especially in large groups of people where they're all doing like the same thing. You may see people fall away because they didn't choose their identity. They didn't change their mindset.
Yes.
They weren't fully convinced. They weren't persuaded, which is really what you want to be, in the thing, whatever it is, this case being moving abroad.
Yes, you want to be fully persuaded. So once a person is beginning to do those things, so we'll talk about the Move Starter Guide here. So the idea was to put together something that would help people through the early on stages. And we talked about the first stage already there, which is the 3 pillars. There's a readiness wheel. Number 1, the readiness wheel.
Important.
So yeah, the readiness wheel is a play off of the coaching wheel of life. So in coaching, it's not unusual for a person to try to find out where they are in their life. So the idea is to have a wheel that is nice and round, because that means it rolls smoothly, versus one that has some flat spots. And the only way you can know you have flat spots is to take the time to assess where you are in specific areas. So if I was doing a wheel of life, I might have in there my family, my health, my job, all those kinds of things like that. And then rating myself on a scale of 1 to 10. So what we did was we took the concept, the principle, and looked at the wheel of life. And in fact, we provide a link to a very short YouTube video that explains the wheel of life a little about, I think it's 5 minutes or less, as a matter of fact. That's inside the guide, so a person can look over there. So you get both. You get the readiness to move wheel, and you get the wheel of life. And so you can apply these principles to yourself.
Yes, and there's the scaling system, as Dad was talking about. I believe it goes from 0 to 10,
Yes.
and you can put a mark, a dot, where you are in your life, and it will help you with all the other portions of whether or not your wheel is going to be smooth rolling downhill or on the road, you know, and you'll see those flat spots like, oh, I guess I need to focus my my money more, my banking, or I need to focus my family because I forgot to tell so-and-so, you know, it really helps you so you don't have to keep it in your brain, and you can just come to it and add to the wheel.
You see any questions down there? Let's see, mine's kind of cut off.
Oh, your question's cut off? Oh, got a question from Henry. Said, random question. How long did your dreads take to reach that length? Who are you specifically speaking to? Because
Yeah.
both of Dad and I have dreads. So when you get back on that,
Well, I'll answer
give-
for me. And
well,
anyway, so I guess I started this before I retired. So we've been here going on 3 years. So
Maybe almost 4?
yeah,
3.5?
between 3.5 and 4 years is the answer to your question. And I just went on YouTube and went to somebody King, I forgot, and I followed him
Yeah.
very meticulously. He wanted to know your length also.
mine probably about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But I did trim my hair or cut it like maybe once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of made the decision I didn't want to have short hair in like 2019, 2020.
That's right.
So about 4 to 5 years. Yeah.
So on the readiness wheel, as you said, Daniel, it's on a scale of 1 to 10. And some of the items that we have listed on the wheel, let's see here. We have,
You want me to say it for you while
Ye-
you're looking?
yeah,
Let's see, language. Could be where you're going. You need to know the language. So a lot of people are looking ahead, if they pretty much know where they're going, to start preparing to know that language before they get to where they're going. And that's a very good thing. And we didn't necessarily do that, even though we knew that there is different languages here. We are doing that now, though, but it's really good. It's really a big bonus, at least I know for here, to know the language, because people really help us when we come by where we're living. People, when they see us, they say, introduce and things like introductions and stuff, and they say ways to help you. So if you're not able to respond back, then they try to help you to know how to respond. But it really helps you in your banking, in your shopping, and dealing with different situations. So that is one area we said, well, yeah, that's a good thing to put on the wheel. And so that might be an area that you might want to look into. So you got another
all
one?
right.
Mark?
Some of the other items are a payment system for your current bills. And when it's say that, talking about auto pay, for example, or at least some kind of system. Check your health, and you want to do that quite a ways out, just in case you run into some situation that requires extended care, and you want to allow space for that to happen. Let's see here. Leaving family. So some people have actually left and their spouse did not come with them, or we know some people who maybe their relatives, a parent, this is for a grown person, doesn't know, or a grandparent doesn't know. And so you need to be at peace with who you're communicating and what you're communicating with. And the idea is not to put these things off because you're actually avoiding the conversation. Another one is travel documents, getting those kinds of things that you need in order, making sure that you allow time to get them processed. What is going to be your source of income? We were blessed to have a video go viral at over 500,000 of the views. And that one we talked about, Marlene and I talked about having a source of income, because people in America, this is part of the mindset change, okay? In America, I was addicted to a paycheck every 2 weeks. They call it a job. Whereas here, it's more of an entrepreneurial spirit. And in fact, just think about it. If you were the one who was running a particular country, you would want your people employed before someone who came in as a foreigner employed. So you're not as high likely to find a job. You want to take care of that now, long before you get ready to leave. Maybe you're going to be a digital nomad. Maybe you're going to start your own business, whatever. But the point is that you want to have a source of income. Check the questions there.
So we got a question here from Henry. Do you think it's worth looking at African citizenship or waiting to see how things play out in future with future governments and repatriation, etc.?
Okay, so don't get mad at me when I answer this way. You said African citizenship. So there's no African citizenship. That would be like saying North American citizenship or South American citizenship or European citizenship. There's no such thing. There is country citizenship. So there's 54 countries, and each one of those countries has its own requirements. And last time I checked, not a lot of countries at all were granting citizenship. Some of them, you can get residency or visas for extended periods of time. However, that is more than a notion and a process. So we make sure that you really have a grip on that. This is covered a little bit more, and we provide more information in our workshop in terms of immigration. But the point is, just for clarity, what you would be doing is you would be pursuing a particular country that interests you and realizing that they have their own set of requirements, which may mean that you at best could get a visa that allows you to stay for 6 months, and then you have to exit the country every 6 months and come back, like just cross the border or something like that. Because it may be one of those things where they're not handing out residencies quite like we wish. We'd like to think that Ghana's rolled out the red carpet, but the reality is on the ground is somewhat different than what's in the news.
Yeah, I think there's only like a handful of countries that are doing that, like maybe 4 or 5, Ghana being one. And then it depends, don't quote me on this, but it depends. Some countries may have a pathway for those who have ancestry in that country.
Yes.
It may happen,
So
but it's not guaranteed.
Daniel's referring to the diaspora, but diaspora to Kenya is different than diaspora to an African American, so-called African American. We think of ourselves as the diaspora. They're thinking of someone in Rwanda or Kenya who left the country for whatever reason and had children, got married in Canada, which a lot of them did, in Toronto, and they want those people to now bring their dollars and their intellect back to the country. And some African countries are just now beginning to even talk about returning the people who have lineage to their own, to their country to come back.
And that can be quite a shift or a wake-up call, especially for Black folk.
So residency, they may have a form of residency for you that you could investigate. We were able to obtain residency here, and even that is only for a select period of time, and then we have to do it again. And some places may have what they call a golden passport or investment that you make and have a path to residency, not citizenship.
Henry says, true. I think Sierra Leone, what's that, Morocco? Or Morocco, I meant to say, on ancestry. Ethiopia and Ghana, kinda. Good point. This is the issue with difference between diaspora and ancestral diaspora. Hopefully this is nullified in the future.
Yes,
Yeah.
hopefully. I will say this though, there's a Swahili word, it's pole pole. That's how things tend to move on the continent. Because, yes, slowly, thank you, Marlene, slowly.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're kind of used to stuff in the United States, in the Western world, it doesn't move like that. So, and I realize you're trying to balance whatever your why is to be departing the United States or the Western world, you're trying to balance that with unknown factors. And depending on your why, for us, it was worth it to still exit. And so, and we've been here almost 3 years now. So there you have it. All right, so some of the other things on the readiness wheel you can see when you download it, from how you're going to deal with local transport, how you're going to deal with future utilities, so forth. And the thing about these is you want to customize this to your own needs. We didn't have our dog anymore, so pets is not on here. However, you might need to put pets or something else on there. Having said that, now we're going to move on to the next part of the Epic Africa Move Starter Guide. And let's see here. That would be the designer of your world and not merely the consumer of it. That is not, the words we chose there are very careful, consumer. We are a very consumption-oriented society, especially in the West. And so what happens is advertising is really pumped at us, and we end up thinking it was our idea, and we end up just doing things that really we were like sheep, and we were just following the algorithm, and the algorithm led us.
Yeah, not realizing the psychology, all the work that's been done, the programming, to see the sign 5 times or on your phone, to talk about it and then see it show up on your phone.
So the foundation for number 2, be a designer of your world, not merely the consumer of it. Design your own world, meaning if you know who you are and whose you are, you can begin to have a little bit more chutzpah and about what your demands are and what you find as a personal requirement. The background on this actually comes from when I used to work for the federal government, and one of the things, I'm a certified career development specialist. So I would help people in mid-career write their resumes and find jobs and move around, and I led leadership programs and things like that. And so what I found is I would be meeting with someone one-on-one in a closed office, and this person has been working 15 years, somewhere in there, and they took a job because they had to pay bills versus choosing a vocation. And now they're nervous because they can't stand it anymore and they want to change. And so they're trying to figure out their resume and what they want to do. And what I found though is people would not spend very much time on the detective work that's required, the research when you want to target an agency, a place you want to work, whether it's private industry or federal government. They would not spend the time to research and do a detective thing. They didn't take time to find out what they really want, is what I'm trying to say here. And in fact, I took a little anecdotal poll and I began to realize that people were spending time figuring out their cruises to the Caribbean or wherever, and it was only going to last 2 weeks, and they were all into that, all the details and what they could do and what was offered. But come to ask them about, well, have you done any research on where you want to work next? Oh, no, I haven't done that. They don't even know, they just want to, they're running away from something, and they're forgetting a principle, the principle of exiting and entering. And the way you leave a place is the way you're going to enter the next place. And so they're really not investing themselves into where they're going. They're just running away from a problem, which will follow them because they're the common denominator. But it was so sad to me. So anyway, the point is, you don't want to be running away from the West. You want to be targeting where you want to go and know what you're looking for. So the design of your world means taking time to reflect on what do you really want.
In a very convenient way, as it is laid out, and it gives you examples, and you can add to those examples.
Right.
I think I really want to stress a convenient, helpful way. Free 99, link in the description. I'll have to send out another link because it's being funny with me. Y'all know tech. But providing a way that is ease of access to you guys to help with your move abroad.
Yeah, so I'm going to pick one of them, which is community. And a person might want to think about, well, you really should think about, what kind of community do you want to reside in? I mean, do you want to be surrounded by locals? Do you want lots of expats around you? Do you want a mix of locals and expats? Do you want people specifically from your own country? Because there are people who came from other countries who may not even speak your language, and they'd be considered expats also. But so what it is we've taken the time to try to put together some categories. Is it an exhaustive list? No list is exhaustive. You have to customize it for your own needs.
Right. I'll pick out one, the climate you want to be in. People think of Africa and they think it's just hot everywhere, because they're not considering there are 50 or so countries. And so some places you go to, they might have what we call 2 seasons, or they have a heavy rainy season or a light rainy season. I have a friend who's older and about my age really, but she couldn't be in a very hot area. It's hot where we are. It's very hot. It could be 80 but feel like 90. So let's put it that way. And so they're in South Africa. South Africa has 4 seasons. So if you've lived in Maryland or if you've lived in New York or places like that, they have the 4 seasons. So you've got to know where you're going to move to, what's the climate going to be that's comfortable for you. So that's an area to think about.
Yes, got a comment here from C. Daniels, says unconscious dependency on misguided belief that the government has your best interest in mind. And then she's got in quotations here. We are from the government. We are here to help.
Yeah, what's interesting is we were looking at a YouTube influencer we follow called African Exodus, and she had referred to a book where I actually ordered that book, and I'm going to be looking forward to it. But the term the guy used was wombs, WOMBS, wombs. And we go from one womb to another, from the womb of our mother, and we're under the delusion of safety and security. However, I think it's Helen Keller who said, in nature, even in nature, the thought of safety and security is a delusion. The fact that we would have it in regular life, it's not. And so the point is to think that the government has you protected and all this stuff. No, you don't know what's going to happen at any point in time. And you don't want to go from the womb of the West looking for another womb of something to take care of you. Yeah, it's important to know whose you are and who you are. So that's it. So let's see. So Marlene covered something. The climate. Thank you. And the other thing. Here's one more. Medical. Picking out how close do you want to be to a clinic, a major hospital. What about air evacuation to hospitals? How about dentistry? What about women's health services? So the idea is to begin to just quietly sit down, put your fuzzy slippers and your smoking jacket on, and just cross your legs with some chai tea and think through these things to really target where you're going and to spend some time on this exercise. These are the things that help you to exhale because you realize, oh, I've already thought about that and where you want to be with regards to those. So we've covered so far. Oh, and let me ask folks to do this. Hey, would you all please click that thumbs up? In fact, Henry did a thumbs up in the chat, thank you. But could you click that thumbs up button that's on the live there? So we'd really appreciate it if you do that. And
for those watching on the playback.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've covered so far the 3 pillars, which included your identity, your mindset, and your process, and why those are in a particular order. We've also covered the readiness to move wheel. We've now covered the design your world rather than being a consumer of it type of thing to get you thinking. So we're segueing to, and let us know if you have any questions, put them down there in the chat.
We actually do have a question from C. Daniels. What is air evacuation about?
Okay. So, oh, go ahead, Marlene.
You can come behind me also.
Okay.
I'll say for here or where you may be, you may have clinics and hospitals, but depending on what your medical need is, they may not be able to handle a certain type of medical procedure. It's like thinking of being in the States and you may have a certain medical thing going on, but they don't handle it at the particular hospital, and you may have to go to Cedars-Sinai, or you may have to go to Georgetown or something. But the difference here is that you'd have to be air evacuated to another country. So they may not be able to help you with a certain in-depth medical procedure here, say in Zanzibar, and then you may have to go to Kenya, or you may have to go to South Africa, something like that. So that's what the air evacuation is.
And having the insurance, some health insurances might include air evacuation, some do not, and so you want to get that as a separate thing. We pay for air evacuation.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and tell you, it's around $200 for like 2 people or something like that. It could take you to Nairobi, or she
Yeah.
mentioned Johannesburg, if it's a major deal.
Depending on what it is.
Let's see, what else does air evacuation insurance? Yeah. I think you covered it all, Marlene. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to swing into deal breakers. And people might be better at this than what they want. Sometimes folks are reticent, is that the word I want to use? With regard to committing to what they want. Although we're under a mindset challenge ourselves to where we're like saying, no, we want X.
Yeah, we're trying to go through that shift right now to be more of what we want versus what we don't like. But in this section of the starter guide, this is where you hit those points, those deal breakers.
And when we say deal breakers, it means just that. This will break the deal. If I cannot, whoever I is, if I cannot get what I need, let's say you have a digital job, you're a digital nomad, and you have absolutely got to have high-speed, good internet access. That might be elevate to the top. That's a deal breaker for you. That's just one example there.
Yeah, maybe a deal breaker for me would have been if there was no black people in a specific African country that I was going to. You have anything, Mom?
No,
Not anything to come to mind?
not right now.
I think, what was the other side of that? Because there's like a question for that page.
Oh, your why?
Oh, yeah, you want to know your why. One of ours was definitely identity, obeying the scriptures, governmental stuff, wanting to change up, wanting to see more black people, melanated people. But I think it was a question about you will move even if such and such or something like that on the page.
Yeah, that's it. I will move even if.
Even if. Yeah, I think for me, I've touched on it before, infrastructure. I will move even if all the roads are not paved or the electricity. One of them might be bigger, like I will move even if I have to change my mind on how we pay for water here or something like that, because you have to calculate how much water you need. It's different from you just pay month to month and it's on until they like shut it off. You have to calculate in advance, or even the electricity. So it's like, I will move even if I'm gonna have to change that. I will move even if I have to turn the hot water on before I get in the shower 10 to 20 minutes before, versus in the States, you just turn it on, maybe 5 seconds later, it's hot. So those are definitely some things for me.
Yeah, and these are the kinds of things that we're offering triggers that help you think through, I hadn't thought of that, or that's as far as it got. I just thought about it. You got to write these things down. Something becomes serious when you make it a note, either in your iPhone or you take a pencil, pen and paper, or type it up, then it becomes real. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah, only things I thought of was, I know we're in Africa and they have a lot of foliage and fruits and vegetables, and it's fabulous. I think one of the major things for me was like, I'm really into a lot of healthy things. And I think the difference is you have different fruits, different vegetables, and certain things that I miss that I had in the States, they don't have here because the climate we're in, they just don't grow it here. So I think in reference to that aspect of eating certain things, you have to learn to adjust. And a lot of times people aren't sure they want to adjust to things. Because when you come from whenever you come from, you may not think about that. You may not think when you get to another country, well, surely they have so-and-so, so-and-so. But you're not thinking about it. It's like if you're living in the States, certain things grow, certain times of the year, or you have to ship in. Oranges aren't in certain places. You got to get them from Florida or California, or, avocados are not, so it's things like that. So it's just thinking you have to adjust to whatever the food is, the shopping, the way shopping is done. They don't necessarily have all the malls that you're used to. So it's just things like that. And that's where research comes in to really look and see, well, let me see what's going on in this particular place that I'm thinking of moving to, because I'm not sure that so-and-so might be a deal breaker. So that's where you have to look in those areas.
Yeah. We have a question here from, I'm going to try to pronounce your name. Let me see. Kuzingatia, I think. Yeah, it's a new name for me. Organizing your life abroad plans with T is legit. Some countries are now denying U.S. passports until further notice. You'll want to be aware of where is welcome and where is not. There's a lot going on in the world right now. So yes, research as to what places will be more open. Do you have any comments on that?
And at the same time, flexibility. You got to be flexible. We're so used to hard and fast. I can go down to the county building, the municipal building, and this is organized. This is the way it's going to be. And excuse me, these are developing countries a lot of times. So they're carved in jello. That's the way, and they're progressing and doing better. But they may not be where you would like it to be. That's why your why is the most important starting point, and that's on this page here in terms of part A, my why for relocating, because that's going to get you through the difficult times. You're going to experience difficulty no matter what you do. Anything worth, anything of any value is going to have some challenge to it. That's just life as it is. There's always going to be some pushback, some kind of obstacle. So that's why you need a strong enough why, and you want to really get to your core root of why am I doing this? You might want to ask yourself why 5 times. You might want to have somebody ask you. You might want to think about it, come back to it in a week or two, and get that thing solid.
Yes, good comment here from C. Daniels. The leaks of Egypt. Yes, I'm so used to going to Chick-fil-A and getting my chicken sandwich the exact same way every single time. Burger King, the burger the exact same way every time. So when I came here and the burger was, there was more bread than burger or whatever, I had to get used to that, or the burger was made completely different. Like it's not going to be the same way every single time. Like we're used to that conveyor like belt kind of consistency. It ain't always going to be like that, rarely, that we have experienced here in East Africa.
If anyone doesn't know what C. Daniels is referring to, the leaks of Egypt, she's referring to a passage in Exodus where Moses is leading the children of Israel out, and they have left Egypt. They've seen their arch enemies destroyed, literally annihilated in front of their eyes. They were told, you will never see them again. And they're on this path to freedom, and they started complaining about the leeks and onions that they left back in Egypt. And so that's why Daniel was making this comment about Chick-fil-A, and I kind of started looking at my notes. I missed some of the other restaurants he mentioned, but there's Amazon, there's Gucci, there's, all this stuff of Rodeo Drive, yeah.
Rita's ice cream.
Yeah,
I mean,
Mom.
there's so many different things.
And I know Mark mentioned Amazon, and there is a way, at least where we are, to get it. It's just, it's a little different, and it takes a little longer. So there is a way to get it here. I don't know how it is in other places, but at least where we are, it just takes longer. But there's still, you can't get all the items you're used to in the States also. So it's limited, but it's so far it's working. But those are areas where research comes in. So.
Yeah, and I want to point out, as Dad was saying, the Israelites had just seen their enemies destroyed. They had also seen many miracles and wonders that Moses had done with the Most High when they were still in Egypt, all the plagues, all this stuff. So, think about these people who saw all these miracles within months of a time frame, a long time, and now they're seeing the water, they're seeing the very people that oppressed and killed them were wiped out. And after all of that, they were like, at least we had graves in Egypt. So it takes a really big shift in your mind to move, because that was definitely part of the journey as the Israelites were there, especially 40 years, because they saw themselves as grasshoppers. A lot of that was getting the Egyptian diet out of them, doing customs from Egypt. They had to change, their mind had to change. In fact, we've been learning that many passages in the Bible, the Most High will work with people's minds first and then kind of do some stuff. But
So we're going to get ready to close this out. There are a couple of bonus items. We've already covered the important 3 keys to success and tips to move. I'm not going to cover that. I'm going to talk a little bit, since C. Daniels mentioned leaving the leaks of Egypt, and Daniel was talking about that. I want to say this. When the children of Israel were leaving and on their journey, they went through these different attitude adjustment periods, as you were saying, Daniel. And I have found that is true of our own family here. It's where something isn't what you thought it was going to be. You're used to obviously something else. You're used to probably a higher standard of something that's not present. But you have to get back to, again, why in the world are you doing this? Because that's your foundation. You can't shift off of that. I've gone back and looked at the children of Israel and read that whole passage over those chapters to see what they were going through, from the bitter waters of Meribah to the golden calf and all this stuff that they were doing. And it's kind of interesting if you could look at your own life and say, oh my goodness, we look at that and say, that was stupid, why'd they do that? But we know the end of the movie. If you don't know it, trust me, when you get on that plane to come over here, you're going to live through it. And you're going to see yourself go through those particular attitude adjustment or shifts, as Daniel called them. And I really behoove everyone, it would behoove everyone to realize that they're going to be going through a change if you allow the Most High to work with the clay on the potter's wheel, which is us.
yes. So as Dad said, we're going to begin to be signing off soon. So if you have any other questions, sign off in the chat. We have a special offer for people who are watching, which is one of our other products, services, whatever you want to call it, coming up, which is our Epic Africa Move workshop. We will be doing it the 20th and the 21st of July. So we've had some videos that have highlighted that, and you may have even seen in some of them people giving their feedback on it. But you can also see that on our website at awakenwithmark.com, where people have allowed us to use some of their feedback that they've given us for the workshop. So we offer you that as an option to help with your move. In fact, we offer it as soon as you can because there is a special going on. What's that special, Dad?
It's $167 for right now.
Yes, we have the early bird special going right now for $167. And eventually that price will go to the regular price, which is $197, I believe.
Yes, that is
Yes.
correct.
So, yeah, we're very excited. People have already signed up. Join us, join them, and come to the workshop. And there will be a link in the in the comments. You can check it out on the website. It's right on the website, and you can see what is going on in the workshop.
So a C final word from C. Daniels. Glad to hear that you will be presenting the workshop again.
Yeah.
The first one was quite informative. Thank you, C. Daniels. Woo, thank you. That wraps it up for this live. I'll tell you what, in terms of questions, Daniel asked you if you have any more questions. Going once. Thank you for everyone participating on the live.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Thank you for downloading the starter guide if you have in the 3 pillars. Recommend you do that. Going twice. And also get on over to our website, see some of the things we have. We also have a free newsletter and other freebies and stuff.
Yes, we have the Awaken letter head by Josiah, where he emails stuff every week, multiple times per week. Sometimes about living abroad beyond just Africa. I think he did one about Japan. There's a lot of opportunities for people who want to move out of America or move towards somewhere else. So yeah, we have the Awaken letter. We have the workbook, which is also on the website for a fee, which is very thorough and informative for people who want to plan out even more of their move. We have testimonials on the website. Yeah. So,
That's it.
yeah.
All right. Sold. So no more. We didn't get any more questions. Thank you all for attending, and thank you for supporting us. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much.
All
We
right.
really enjoy working with you.
Thank you.
Shalom, everybody.
See you.